The hospital was a storm of white coats and clipped voices that morning. Inside the intensive care unit, alarms blinked and beeped around a woman who had commanded thousands but now lay pale and still. General Helena Ross, the youngest four-star general in U.S. history, 20. Two of the nation's top doctors had been called to save her, each one desperate to find what was killing her. None had an answer. Her pulse fluttered, her breath shallow beneath the oxygen mask. Every machine was hooked up, every test run twice. The air reeked of antiseptic and fear. Dr. Everett, the chief of medicine, pressed his palms into his eyes. Her vitals are collapsing again. She's allergic to nothing, no toxins, no infection markers. This doesn't make sense. Try another round of epinephrine. Someone suggested weakly. It's not working. Another snapped. Her body's shutting down and we don't even know why. Outside the observation glass, nurses and staff gathered, whispering in awe and grief. Helena Ross wasn't just a general. She was a legend, the kind who fought in silence and won wars before the world even knew they had begun. And among those standing in quiet worry was a man holding a mop. Ethan Cole, 42, single dad, janitor for the hospital's night shift. His coveralls smelled faintly of bleach, and his eyes had that distant exhaustion only single parents knew. He'd been working double shifts lately, saving for his daughter Lily's school trip, and because hospital bills from her asthma weren't cheap, he shouldn't even have been there that morning, but the day Janitor had called in sick. Ethan just kept mopping quietly, moving like a shadow while doctors argued. But when one of the nurses dropped a clipboard and a small glass vial rolled to his feet, he bent down to pick it up. The label caught his eye, atropine 1 mg/ml. He frowned. That was an emergency drug used to stabilize slow heart rate, but something felt off. He glanced toward the patient, General Ross. He'd read her name tag earlier and recognized her face from news clips. He looked up just as a young doctor injected another dose into her Roman 4 line. Stop. Ethan's voice cut through the chaos. Heads turned sharply. 20. Two doctors stared at him as if a ghost had spoken. Dr. Everett's brow furrowed. Who the hell are you? Ethan hesitated, clutching the mop handle. I'm the janitor, but you shouldn't give her that again. The room went silent for a beat, then exploded in laughter and disbelief. Excuse me, one of the surgeons said. You're telling us how to treat cardiac arrhythmia. Ethan's voice was calm but firm. I'm telling you you're giving her the wrong treatment. Her symptoms aren't from a slow heart rate. They're from poisoning. You keep pumping atropine and you're making it worse. Dr. Everett froze. Poisoning, we already tested, not for organophosphates. Ethan interrupted. Because you think she wasn't exposed to any, but that rash on her neck, the muscle twitching in her fingers, her pupils barely reacting to light, that's textbook. You're treating the wrong thing. The doctors exchanged nervous glances. The janitor spoke with quiet certainty, not like someone guessing, but remembering. Doctor, Everett stepped forward slowly. And how do you know that? Ethan took a breath. Because I was an army medic before I was a janitor. Afghanistan. We had soldiers exposed to pesticide nerve agents when an old warehouse got hit. Looked exactly like this. The atropine helps only if you catch it early. If it's already in her system, you need pralidoxime, fast. The room fell dead silent. One of the younger doctors quickly pulled up Helena's blood work on a monitor. Her cholesterol levels are suppressed. He looked up. Why died? He's right. Dr. Everett blinked. Get pralidoxime. Now. The room burst into motion. Nurses sprinted. Roman 4 bags were switched. Ethan stepped back, clutching his mop, his heart hammering as monitors began to stabilize. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, as if the universe had drawn in a breath, General Ross's pulse began to rise. Her color returned, faintly, her chest rising more steadily. One nurse whispered, "It's working." Doctor Everett turned to Ethan, speechless. You just saved a 4-star general's life. Ethan swallowed hard. No, sir. I just recognized something you missed. But deep down, his hands were trembling. He hadn't touched a medical case since the army. He'd thought that part of his life was long behind him. Hours passed. Helena stabilized. The doctors, humbled, worked silently to ensure she was out of danger. The press outside the hospital buzzed with rumors of her mysterious illness and miraculous recovery. But Ethan slipped away quietly, going back to mopping the hallways. By evening, as he finished his shift, a pair of military officers entered the corridor. Ethan Cole. He looked up, startled. "Yes, sir. You're requested upstairs. The general wants to see you." He followed them, nervous. Inside her recovery room, Helena Ross sat propped up, her eyes sharp despite her pale skin. "So you're the janitor who saved my life," she said softly. Her voice carried authority, but there was a faint warmth underneath. Ethan lowered his gaze. "I just saw something others didn't, ma'am." She studied him. "Former Army." "Yes, ma'am. Medic, 3rd Battalion. Discharged 10 years ago." "Why a janitor?" He sighed. "After my wife died, I had to raise my daughter alone. Needed a steady job, flexible hours. Medicine wasn't kind to single dads who couldn't work nights or weekends." Helena nodded slowly, her expression unreadable. "And yet you caught something 22 specialists missed. That's not luck. That's training and instinct." He shrugged, embarrassed. "Old habits die hard, I guess." She smiled faintly. "You ever miss the field?" "Sometimes. But I've got a little girl who needs me more than the world does." Helena's gaze softened. "You remind me of my father. He wasn't a soldier, but he had the same stubborn humility." She paused. "Do you know what would have happened if you hadn't spoken up?" Ethan looked at her steadily. "I figured I'd rather get fired than stay quiet." A quiet chuckle escaped her lips. "Good man." She leaned back against her pillows. "The military could use more people like you, Cole." "I'm not sure I belong there anymore," he said. "You do," she said firmly, "just not the same way." The next day, hospital staff found Ethan's name printed across newspapers and social media. "Janitor saves 4-star general." He avoided interviews, embarrassed by the attention, but it didn't stop reporters from camping outside the hospital. That evening, as he clocked out, he found Helena waiting by the front entrance in a wheelchair, flanked by aides. "I thought generals didn't chase janitors down," he said lightly. "Not usually." She smiled. "But I make exceptions." She handed him an envelope. Inside was a sealed letter marked U.S. Army Medical Command. "What's this?" he asked. "An offer," she said. "Civilian consultant for field diagnostics, flexible hours, full benefits, and a scholarship for your daughter, paid in full." Ethan blinked, speechless. "Ma'am, I can't." "You can," she interrupted gently, "because heroes don't always wear rank or uniform. Sometimes they just carry a mop." He stared at her, the weight of her words settling deep. For the first time in years, he felt something stir inside, a sense of purpose he'd buried long ago. Later that night, as he walked home beneath the orange glow of the streetlights, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Thank you for saving me. H.R." Ethan smiled faintly, looking up at the stars. When he reached home, his daughter Lily ran into his arms. "Daddy, you were on TV. Did you really save a general?" He lifted her and kissed her forehead. "I just helped someone who needed it, kiddo." She grinned. "You're a hero." He laughed softly. "No, sweetheart, just a janitor who paid attention." But as he tucked her into bed and turned off the light, the letter from the army lay on his table, its seal unbroken. Tomorrow maybe he'd open it. For tonight, it was enough to know that doing the right thing, even when no one listens, can change the world.